It's embarrassing. For me to go into a neighborhood and not see where the lights are on, that's not something that makes me very happy.
Chris Brown is Detroit's chief operating officer, overseeing several critical departments, including public lighting. Brown estimates 15 to 20% of Detroit's streetlights are out. In some neighborhoods, it's 50%. Detroit's ombudsman, who fields citizen complaints, thinks it's much higher than that. So how did things get so bad, and what is Brown's plan to fix it? As Action News first reported, part of the problem is theft. Crooks steal the guts from light poles for scrap.
We have these things that are called series transformers that are at the bottom of the pole, and these are being stolen. These are clipped by thieves at the bottom of the pole, and they don't become usable.
That's the older type of transformer. This is a newer version. Both are being targeted. Red lines on Brown's map show big sections of the city where transformers have been stolen.
This is where theft has occurred in this whole area. That's actually out of drive. When you have that kind of theft, the issue is how do you replace it?
Public lighting workers tell me the city can't even replace transformers like these anymore, so they have to cannibalize old parts from the system. Outdated and dilapidated equipment is another issue. A lot of the light fixtures have mercury in them, so when they go out, they can't replace the bulbs.
They're mercurium cadmium lights. Mercurium is a greenhouse gas. Those aren't being made anymore.
So you have to replace the entire fixture to get the lights back on. On top of that, the way the street lights are wired is old school. They're wired in a series, just like the old Christmas tree lights. When one bulb goes out, they all go out. They really need to rewire the whole city in parallel circuits. So what's the plan? Brown says they're slowly but systematically rewiring sections of the city with parallel circuits and modern bulbs in the process. That'll also cut into thefts.
You don't have that transformer at the bottom of the pole to be stolen, and we're not kind of chasing that all the time. It's at the top of the pole, and people have difficulty getting them.
Public lighting workers say the city just hasn't invested enough money in the system over the years, and that's a big reason it's falling apart. Chris Brown says it's more of an issue of where they've invested and how. With Detroit's shrunken population, Brown says his plan is to invest more in densely populated neighborhoods.
If the neighborhood is a challenged neighborhood and we want to have one maybe every block, or we have 3 per block if it's a very dense neighborhood.
What Detroiters really want to know is, when will the streetlights be working? Brown says soon in some neighborhoods, but citywide, it's going to be a while.
We're trying to demonstrate that in some of our demonstration neighborhoods quickly, but I think the longer-term solution is going to be a year to 2 years.
Detroit's ombudsman is skeptical.
Said what they're very good at is making charts.
But not fixing things?
But not fixing things.
So you'd take this with a grain of salt?
A pound of salt.
Chris Brown says the city is also actively working to get out of the lighting business and find someone to take it over.
The 900-pound gorilla is obviously DTE.
Last week, Action News confirmed that DTE is doing an assessment of public lighting, and Brown says there could be others interested as well. But why would anyone want to take over a system in shambles? Brown says public lighting brings in money, selling power to government buildings and Detroit public schools. But there's another problem. I've learned that Detroit public schools owe public lighting around $32 million. That could scare off potential takers. Last week, Action News reported that the city charter requires public lighting to have a 5-member advisory commission appointed by the mayor, which we haven't seen in over 20 years. Attorney Bill Goodman told me the city's breaking the law.
Do you think we should be following the charter and have a lighting commission?
I definitely think we should follow the charter. Whether in this instance we need a commission for this, I don't think so.
Bill Goodman, who lives and works in Detroit, disagrees.
A public lighting commission, if nothing else, could bring wisdom, judgment, and some motivation for the city to be more responsive to the needs of the citizens of this community.
Back to the theft problem. Police sources tell me that most of these transformers are stolen by drug addicts. They have only a small amount of copper in them, maybe about $15 worth. So for a rock or two of crack, an entire neighborhood can be thrown into the dark. Police are hot on this type of thing, but they're frustrated because they just can't figure out who's buying these things. So if you have information, contact the Channel 7 investigators. We're on this story for the long haul. Scott Lewis, Channel 7 Action News.